Hey, this is Ryan Leary and William Tincup, and you are listening to and hopefully watching the Use Case podcast. William, today we have an interesting one, a
Mm,
very fun topic, something that we spend a lot of time talking about frontline workers, high volume hiring, and tech and software and all of that. So we've got Sean Behr on. Sean, welcome. Sean is with Fountain, by the way. I should at least introduce you that way. But Sean, welcome into the show. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and kick us off here?
Yeah, well, thanks so much, guys. First off, great to be with you again, and
Yeah,
sure.
really excited to be here and chat about Fountain and frontline workers and all kinds of good things. But yeah, I'll give you look. I'm a technologist at heart, entrepreneur. Four different startups. Built them all into big businesses, and this is the fourth one. And Fountain is all about the frontline worker. Some people might call them the hourly worker, the deskless worker.
Right.
We call them the frontline worker. These are people that are on the front lines of our economy. And that's our single focus as a company, is to open opportunities for that population of workers. The good news for us is that, for every person that's an HR professional who's on Microsoft Teams and Zoom and sitting at their computer working on Excel, there's just a bunch more people who are driving trucks, delivering packages, working in restaurants and hotels and retail stores and call centers and security guards. And that's our focus as a company, is on those kind of workers that are really powering our economy. And we help our customers sort of hire those workers, manage those workers, retain those workers, and really support them from job board to their last day at the company. You might say hire to retire. We say job board to departure date. But that's our focus as a company, these frontline workers that are really mission critical in our economy. And we try to center everything we do around with that worker in mind.
So you could have started any business, and you've started businesses before. So what did you see in the high volume, hourly, frontline worker space to make you want to build Fountain?
Yeah, I would say, look, my first business was in e-commerce, second one was in advertising, third one was in automotive. So cars, ads, and
Hmm.
shopping. Those are all amazing industries, by the way. Very big industries. But there's something there's something interesting about the world of employment and humans getting jobs. I'm really proud this year our customers will hire 4 million plus
wow.
workers around the
That's
world.
that's a big number.
Yeah, it's a huge number. And what's interesting is, if you show 4 million ads for one brand or another brand, life will go on.
Right.
Life's just going to be all
Right.
right.
Mhm.
There's something interesting when, our database goes up by a number. Behind that number going up is someone finding the next opportunity for themselves. They find the next job, the next way that they're going to, take care of their family or their kids or pay their rent or their mortgage or get a new car or go out to dinner. But there's a human element here that is really, really powerful. And frankly, one of the things that I try to always remember is when we talk a lot about metrics inside our business, behind every one of those metrics is a human being who is going about their life. They're taking
Right.
care of their family, they're going to school, they're trying to buy a car, they're going on vacation, whatever they're trying to do. And so there's something compelling about that nature of the work we do results in real people getting the next opportunity in their life. And you don't get many of those.
Mhm.
It's not like every company you build delivers that kind of value. Sometimes it's like, well, we made outbound sales calls for SaaS sales reps 22% more effective.
Right.
That's great, by the way. That's a
It
great
is.
outcome
That's
for
Mhm.
many
fantastic.
companies, but it's different. It hits different
Right.
from a people perspective.
So, okay, this podcast is about tech, right? But you're making me want to talk about your journey here and learn more. So we have to have you back on Inside the C-Suite because I feel like we're gonna have a
We
really
will.
good conversation. We'll try to stay on point. But before we get to the point, I do want to ask a question. When you started Fountain, okay, was that was the foundation of it, but at what point did it take a turn like, okay, we actually have to really build a solid software here to make this passion, to make this vision work? How did you handle that transition, and what did you focus on?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting, my background on this one is interesting. I was the first angel investor in the company, and I actually was one of the first customers. So it was a customer of Fountain before
Hmm.
I became an investor in the
Had no
company.
idea.
Yeah. And a board member in the company. I would say the thing that was very interesting is
Interesting.
we came about at a time when companies were trying to onboard and hire millions of gig economy workers to deliver
Right.
food and all kinds of things to us over the last 10 years. No HR platforms ever contemplated that you might want to hire 40,000 people in a month. No HR professional was sitting around in 2015 being like, oh, we're going to onboard 40,000 people this month. I mean, there are a few.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm being
back
hyperbolic here.
then,
that would be crazy.
the market was so fragmented for solutions for the enterprise, for corporate salaried employees, etc. It was 90-10. They were swimming in software. So if we take ATS as a category, they had 1,000 choices. Whereas when you talk to somebody in high volume hourly frontline, I'll use all those as synonyms for just because the technology stack available to them was three, four, like it was maybe not in the single digits, but it was small digits. So like at that particular moment when you came to market, there was plenty of stuff for salaried employees, salary hires, plenty of probably more technology than now. And so going into that market, I could see it being attractive because there's just so much inefficiency. People trying to use enterprise salary products in a high volume
Yeah.
situation and just seeing the brokenness of like, okay,
Yeah.
you're trying to hire a software engineer and it's going to take 6 weeks or whatever versus somebody at Walmart that you need to actually hire in 6 hours.
Yeah. It's such an astute observation. Like everything about the frontline worker, it's not dramatically different, right? As we mentioned earlier, we're all humans. We're all trying to we're all trying to get by. We're all trying to have fun. We're all trying to do our life the way we want to do it. However, there are some fundamental differences between hiring salaried workers who work at a desk all day and frontline workers. And I'll give you just kind of one or two tangible examples that, like, if you are talking about salary workers, we generally have a couple of sources of truth, which is LinkedIn and resumes. I mean, almost every guest that's ever on the pod says, you can find me on LinkedIn. Go to your local grocery store and ask the people stocking the shelves what their LinkedIn is.
Ryan's got a
Probably not gonna
17 year
happen.
old Ryan's got a 17-year-old daughter, and I want him to ask her about her LinkedIn.
She wants nothing. She doesn't even know what it is. She really doesn't. I've
Yeah,
asked her. Yeah.
it's just not. And then the second thing I'd say is, with most of the people on the podcast, like email is a very reliable way of interacting with other salaried workers. We have a cadence. Some people are inbox zero. Some people, take a week to get back to you. Whatever it is.
That's right.
If you email most 17-year-olds, good luck.
Mm,
It's
You
also
get it.
it's also sending the adverse message of you're a boomer.
yeah, like
It's not even that they won't respond. They'll look badly on you.
badly. Yeah, and
Right.
you send them a text message though, all of a sudden they're available. They're willing to text right
100%.
back to you.
Right,
100%.
right, right. Well,
100%.
it's a so funny story, Sean. So at school, that's how they communicate over email, right? That the teachers communicate with the students through the portal, which goes over email. They don't see it. They
Mm-mm.
really don't see it. So,
I agree.
well, my oldest is missing assignments because of it, or she missed an opportunity for extra credit, or she didn't do something. And like, guys, what's it? Well, we can't text our personal phones, and not every. I understand, not an easy solution, but you can't leverage email
Yeah.
with a 15, 16, and
18-year-old, they
17-year-old
can't.
person. It's
Doesn't
not going to
work.
work.
No,
Doesn't
Doesn't.
work.
no.
The same. Yeah, you can't do that.
So I think this point around, using the right tool to accomplish the goal you're trying to accomplish. Look,
Hmm.
if you're trying to hire an AI software engineer to help you build a large language model that's going to predict something, you should really look at a lot of resumes. Like, you should really do tons and tons of deep interviews and reference checks. If you're hiring 1,000 people to stock shelves, I'm not sure you should look at their resumes and do 3 rounds of interviews.
They won't do it. The candidates have changed.
They'll find a better look. The other positive thing I'd say that's really behind the scenes here, right, is hourly workers, frontline workers in the
Right,
Fountain terminology,
right.
I think are in. Let me put it this way: we're always advocating on the behalf of that population. The other thing I would say is they've never had more opportunities. Like, the competition is fierce.
Hmm.
Um, you know, the good news with this device is that I can very easily apply to lots and lots of jobs, which is where most of these frontline workers apply, is using their mobile device. The bad news is I can apply to lots and lots of jobs.
That's right.
And that means if you're the HR manager on the other side, you've got to assume that I'm applying to 5 other jobs, 10 other jobs.
Well, there's
I
mall
got options.
kiosk. There's mall kiosk
Yeah.
where you can
Well,
just
yeah,
go to
yeah.
the
So
kiosk
many options,
and apply to all the jobs in the mall.
which means you better be real good if I'm going to choose you. Because if you don't, I got 2 other options down the street,
And they'll go
maybe
and
for
they'll
more money.
leave. Yeah, and they'll leave for 50 more cents.
Mm-hmm.
So, like in the corporate salaried world, we'll say, different than frontline, is their competitors are what you would think their competitors are.
Yeah.
Whereas with frontline employees or candidates,
It's
it's
a dollar.
Verizon, a Taco Bell, you know, a retail store. Like, all the competitors are not the competitors of each
Yeah.
other.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's the
And I can tell you flat out, when you use the right tool for simply hiring these workers, let's just talk about hiring. Forget about even retaining these workers. If you deploy the right tool versus the wrong tool, you go from, batting 2 out of 100 to 10 out of 100.
right.
So imagine getting, 100 qualified people want to work at your retail store, and you get 2 and you miss out on 98. You deploy the right tool, like Fountain, by the way, shameless plug. You deploy Fountain,
Never heard of it.
I had to, guys, come on.
Come on.
You deploy a
This is a
tool
podcast. This
that's
is exactly what you're
The
supposed
use
to do.
case podcast.
purpose
Yeah, come on.
built for hiring frontline workers, maybe Fountain, you go from 10 out of 100.
I haven't
Going
thought
from
about
2
it
to
until you
10
said that.
changes the game.
But let's go back to the 298 deal. The 98 are also consumers in a
Yes.
lot of cases, not
In
all cases.
Frontline. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
With Frontline, you've now created a poor experience. If you're pick a store, we won't use any brand names, but basically you
Yeah.
didn't get back to them. You didn't get back to them right away, or you never got back to them. I'm going to think differently about you.
Yeah, for sure. Let me
Right.
give you some real stats on this. It's incredible. We have a product called Fountain Pulse. It's a real-time survey sentiment analysis tool. It's designed to really get at the heart of our frontline workers succeeding, thriving, and happy working for you. We've had some great innovative customers who said, you know what, we love this tool so much. We want to find out how our applicants, those 98, how are they liking the application process? Said, sure, that's very innovative, great idea.
They could use it for customers too, but
They
let's not
sent
go there.
exactly. They sent it to the people who, sort of quote unquote ghosted them.
Yeah.
These are the people they wanted,
Right.
who did not wind up working for them. And the survey is pretty simple, right? Again, it's over text message, so it can't, this isn't like a 30-page qualification with, 20 different multiple choice questions. 3 or 4 questions fast. But their number one question was, I'll use Ryan here, but hey, Ryan, we're really sad you chose not to work for us. Could you just help us out by telling us why? 70% of the people who replied to the survey said, what do you mean? I still want to work for you.
You never got back to me.
You never got back to me. Or I'm confused.
Oh.
It's amazing. It is what they realized was, I'll give you
That's
one
cool.
really kind of funny example. They had a process where somebody had to sign a PDF
What?
in the application process. Many people were confused. They thought that the PDF was the end of the process. And so they were like, look, I signed the PDF. I thought
When do
I'm
I
in.
start? Yeah.
Nope. That was only one step. Then the workers had to do more things. And so obviously what the good news is they very quickly, using Fountain,
You can fix that.
changed their
Yeah.
application process. And
Right.
what's also amazing is those people who wrote back, many of them actually wound up coming to join the team. One other thing I think it's funny that you bring up about consumers, right? But talk about even some of those people that didn't wind up joining the company. They've had a good experience. Like,
That's right.
Yeah.
they were taken care of. Their point of view was listened to. I'm not saying they're going to, come work for you, but they ain't leaving saying that is a bad company. The same thing happens, obviously, after you join the company. So let's say I join the company. It's going okay. I get to my first day. I get my survey, and I'm like, I am completely overwhelmed. But by day 15, I get a second survey, and I'm in the groove. What the company can do is then go back into the onboarding process and say, okay, how do we make it less overwhelming for Sean on the first day? And it could be very simple. Send me a text message on the first morning that says, hey, we know it's going to be a crazy first day. You're not alone. Everyone has a crazy first day. Hang in there. You'll get the hang of it. Could be something very simple. Obviously,
Right.
you can use Fountain to do that, and many of our customers do. The other great thing that we see is, even sending that survey, what our customers can do is do things like send you had a good first month at the company. Hey, William, who in your phone would be a good person to join the team? Ask you for a referral, which is great. It's one of our products. What we find that's really interesting is even if you don't refer anyone, you still feel pretty good because the company essentially said, hey, Ryan, you're great. We
Who do you
want
know?
more people like you. Even if
Right.
you don't wind up referring anyone,
That's a
all
great.
of a sudden
That's a
it's a
great
good
ego
deal.
boost. Yeah.
That, and it's also now in the back of my mind. It's
Yes.
in the back of my mind. So when I do come across a friend at the bar who's like, hey, I've had a really shitty day. Hey, check
On
these
in.
guys out. Yeah.
The other one thing about referrals that we think is really important is closing the loop. Because what so often happens is, I refer somebody. First question I have is, did they actually engage? Did they try to get an interview? Did they try to come to the company? Yes or no? So our product actually says, hey, Ryan, that friend you referred, they applied to this job at this store, and here's where they are in the process. They're
That's
about
cool.
to be interviewed
Like
or
that.
something like that. And then really important is if they get hired, and let's say there's a little bonus for you, I don't know, $50 or something, $100. The worst thing in the world I can do is mess up that bonus to you. Because you took the risk. You referred a friend or a family member to the company.
Yeah.
If I mess up the bonus and I forget to pay you,
Can't mess up
Yeah.
people's money.
It
They can't
becomes
mess up
just
people's
like
money.
payroll. You can't make a
Correct.
mistake.
Anyway, those are little nuances about how our technology works in order to keep people. One is to
Yeah.
get the people you want, but then to keep them engaged and retain them over the.
Question about customers that you're onboarding. What do you find most of them are coming from? Are they coming from, I guess it depends on the company
Sticky
side.
notes.
Yeah, are they coming from like Excel sheets, sticky notes, Google Sheets, or are they coming into, I mean, I'm coming up in the world, I'm saying Google Sheets, not Excel.
Yeah, I
We're
like
giving
that.
them a
That was
little credit.
nice.
Or are they coming from multiple disparate systems, and you're
Yeah.
now bringing them into something that's
Mostly multiple disparate systems.
Yeah, I could see
You
that.
typically, on the smaller side customers, people that have had, 1,000 employees, you may have some digital transformation
Mhm.
work where the customer is really trying to engage a new technology paradigm for the first time. Many times as you get larger, they've got a suite of tools, but the tools just don't do a great job of meeting these applicants and workers where they are. Like, I'll give you another one that is, we were talking a little bit about email earlier today. It is sort of standard operating procedure in the salary work world that on your first day, you get issued a laptop or a laptop in most cases now, and you get
Yeah,
an email, an
yeah.
email address at whatever
Business
company.
cards, name
Yeah,
badge, the whole
exactly.
bit.
Um,
Ryan
in the
remembers.
frontline worker
Yeah.
world, in many cases, they don't give you an email address. Like, you don't get an email address on the first
Right.
day. Like, that's not something that's provided to you. And so even communicating with this worker has a different level of complexity. And what typically happens, right, is if the three of us are in the headquarters and we want to push a message to the stores, what we do is HR drafts a memo. We give it to the vice presidents. The vice
This is already
presidents call
sounds
the
like
store
2001.
managers to a conference call. Then the store managers call a store meeting. And then some of the people don't come to the meeting because they're not on the shift schedule that day. And so they hear about it from a friend. By the time that worker,
It's the telephone game.
it's like a telephone game. Like, the company is like, hey, we're really investing in, let's say, a really great benefit. Hey, we have a new benefit that provides tuition assistance reimbursement for our hourly frontline workers. Amazing benefit. By the time it gets to the person, it's like, yeah, I think they said something about school.
You got to go to school.
You got to go to school.
What?
I'm out of here. No school.
Yeah, like, and so being able to directly communicate, imagine being able to send a targeted message to all your workers saying, hey, you may have been at the store meeting. We hope you were. But if you're not, here's a message. The company is investing in you. There's a tuition reimbursement program. You have to be employed for more than a year to participate in it. We hope you'll consider this benefit. If you have questions on it, click this link. Boom, you hit your market directly with the message you want to hit. The other cool thing about Fountain, right, is let's say you send that message out. A couple of things you'll know. Number one, who got the message and who didn't. Because sometimes you send that message, even via text message, and it bounces. Well, then we know we didn't communicate to Sean at all. And then number two is, of the people at store, 1411 or whatever, how many at 1411 replied to the text message or engaged with the link? Versus people at store 1412. How many people at that store engaged with the link? Now, if you take this all the way to its natural conclusion, right, is you're starting to see about a worker. Okay, let's pretend Ryan is our hypothetical worker here. As we mentioned, he got a survey on the first day. He was pretty overwhelmed, kind of drinking from the fire hose on day one. But day 15, he felt like he was in the groove. On day 30, he referred one of his friends that he met at a bar, and that guy got hired. And then on day 40, he got a text message about the tuition reimbursement program. He actually clicked the link and said he wanted more information. I don't know for sure, but Ryan feels like a really engaged, pretty happy, liking the job, liking the company at that point. Taking the other example, someone who is overwhelmed on day one, hated it on day 15, didn't refer any friends, and also, failed to respond to any of our text messages. I'm not saying they're going to quit for sure, but
It's
I would say
tracking.
there's a
It's
higher
tracking that
likelihood.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean, are you seeing any? And this might be outside the purview of what obviously what Fountain does, but are you seeing any clients that are customers that are in that scenario or running that scenario that you just described, and then tracking that back into mid-level management at the store level because of disengagement of employees not clicking?
Yeah. You see two things that happen. One is seeing stores realize, hey, these managers, these mid-level managers, these store managers are the ones where we're seeing high engagement. Here's where we're seeing lower engagement. What do we do to coach those managers and those store
Hmm.
leaders and warehouse leaders and call center operators, whatever the case may be? We also see things where you bring it actually into the recruiting process. So I'll give you the reverse example. Let's say someone says, my first day was amazing, but by day 21, we're seeing a consistent theme that people feel tired,
Mm.
burnt out, down.
The excitement has worn off.
The
The honeymoon
excitement is
phase
worn
is
off.
over.
And what we're seeing is people go back into, and I'll give you an example. Maybe the job requires you to lift 35 pounds. Obviously, we all can lift 35 pounds. Well, most of us, I think most of us can try it at least once. That's fine. It's
He
easy
looked
to
at
say
you
yes
when he
to
I
said that.
know, as
the
he
like
should.
William.
I technically can't, but all right, go ahead.
But
Not above my head.
if the job says you have to lift 35 pounds, what sometimes people feel like is, okay, it's not too bad. And after the first day, they're like, fine. But after day
Once.
21,
Yeah.
wait a second, I'm lifting 35 pounds 200 times a day. My arms are sore. My legs are sore.
Yeah.
This job
I
is
don't need a
way
gym
harder than I
membership.
thought.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not built for warehouse work, homie.
Right. Now, what's cool here is what the company can then do is go into the recruiting process and have a question that says, hey,
Change that.
we just want you to know this
Yeah.
job, I know it pays more, which is amazing. And this is a great company. But this job is extremely physically active. Your arms will be sore. Your legs will be sore. If you don't like the gym, you're not going to like this job. Please don't apply. I mean, I'm being hyperbolic here,
No,
guys.
no. It's actually
Yeah.
an employer brand should repel and attract.
Correct.
And at the same time, if you tell someone, hey, can you lift 35 pounds? Most people will think once. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can lift 35 pounds. If you ask me occasionally to lift 35 pounds, of course I can.
And
I'll get the energy to do
yeah,
that.
of
But if
course,
you
we all have
say,
our muscles.
but if you tell me, hey, you're going to lift 35 pounds, at least 150 times a day, that's a different bit.
A different bit.
I can't apply to that job. I shouldn't apply to that job, that takes some of the noise out of recruiting
Yeah.
because candidates aren't applying to those jobs because they're like, okay, cool. That's a cool job,
Yeah.
just not a cool job
Yeah.
for me.
Can you lift 7,000 pounds 200 times a day?
Day.
30,
Exactly.
in 35-pound increments.
5 minutes. Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a
That's a
lot.
lot.
And one thing,
That's
William, that I
fair.
thought it's interesting that you said, right, is a good employer brand attracts and repels, kind of does both. One thing that we also see in the frontline universe that we think is interesting is you've definitely got the people that you don't want, right? You want to sort of, if they're 14 years old and they want to drive a truck. I don't know if there are
Sorry.
places in America where you can drive a truck at 14. I hope not. I
Probably
shouldn't have been
Texas.
driving a truck at 14, but
Texas.
and then you got people who you should hire for sure, right? And then you've got the middle. And one of the things that we find interesting and one of the benefits of Fountain, right, is what some of our customers see is they'll post a job and they'll get a deluge of applications, 1,000 applications to be the manager of something.
Right.
98% of those people are not qualified to be a manager of that thing. We have a restaurant brand. You think managing a restaurant. Some of these restaurants are doing like $5 million of revenue. Running them it's a big business. It's a hard job. What happens is they get a lot of applications because it pays a lot of money. what our system does is not only does it repel the people that should not be a fit and really fast track the people that are a good fit, but the people that are not a good fit to run the restaurant, it dynamically suggests a better opportunity for them. So, hey, you're not actually a great fit for our manager job today, but you're a really good fit to run our hostess stand or our frontline cook stands or to be an assistant manager. And guess what? We've got open jobs not only at this store, but we've got a few open jobs about a couple miles away if you're interested as well. And so if you do that, you really engage with this frontline workforce in a very unique and innovative way.
What's interesting, what I love about this, Sean, is people will apply, like you said, for money. It pays well, right? It's a manager title, pays really well. I'm going to apply. But then I'll never hear back because I know I'm not
Yeah.
qualified, right? I know I'm
Yeah.
not qualified. I will never hear back from the restaurant, and I go on about my merry way and I apply to 27 other jobs elsewhere in the universe
that you're not qualified for.
that I'm not qualified for, right?
Yeah.
But what you're doing is now saying, hey, look, Ryan, appreciate the application. There's a path to get here, not
Yes.
today, but here's what we have today in 5 different locations within a commutable distance, etc.
Yeah.
I immediately say to myself, I knew I wasn't qualified, took a shot,
Took a shot.
but I do need a job and I do want to get there. And so I can take an assistant
I like
job.
the brand. I like the restaurant. I eat there all the time. This is
Right.
where I really want to work. Heck, I didn't even know there was an assistant manager job. I'm a
Right.
better fit for that. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I am interested. I'll put my hat in
Yeah.
the ring.
Yeah.
The other cool thing, if you tie it back to that, let's say you join as the assistant manager or the front of staff manager, whatever you want to call it. Because you applied through the system, maybe in 6 months, I'm opening a new restaurant. And I'm looking for people who I can go into the Fountain system and I can say, you know what? Show me everybody who lives in the Austin, Texas area who has worked for me for more than a year, who originally applied to be a store manager,
Cool.
but got the assistant manager job. Show me those people. Wow, there's 13 of those people in my system.
First 13 people I'm interviewing.
Those are my go-to interviews, and I send them a message that says, "Hey, you've been identified as somebody who could potentially manage a restaurant. We have an opening. It's 25 minutes away, so it's a little bit of a commute, but it's a good opportunity. If you're interested, click this link, put your hat back in the ring, and the district manager will be following up with you."
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that creates a very loyal, trusting relationship as well with the employee.
100%.
Knowing that I applied for this role, I was told no, I took this job. And even though I took that job, in the back of my mind, this is just me being jaded. Am I really ever going to get considered for a store manager? I'm going to have to fight and claw and climb my way. But if you're proactively reaching out because the system's now saying, hey, look, these 13 people previously applied, they were not qualified. Maybe they are now, they've been here for a year. If we're doing our job as the restaurant.
See, Ryan, what you're explaining, though, is in those disparate systems, people have always, I speak from a retail background, you've always wanted to do that. The technology didn't support it.
Didn't allow it. Right.
Because it was trapped in a system, it was trapped in a person, whatever, some memory or whatever. And so the system is the one that's reminding you and remembering for you. And again, if the systems aren't there, then you still have the best intentions. You want to do that. You just don't ever get around to it because systems don't talk to one another.
It's another one of those places where even again, let's say, we applied and we didn't get the job as store manager, we got the assistant manager job, and turns out because of our life right now, it's just not going to work to drive 25 minutes to be a store manager. It's just not the right fit for me right now. The fact that you remembered that I applied to be a manager, even if I don't actually apply for the opportunity,
right?
I feel like
you had the first right of refusal.
Yeah, you gave me a shot.
Yep.
It didn't work for me. But you just, you put another, what do you call it? You put another tip in the tip jar. And every time you do one of these things, you're putting another dollar in my tip jar of like, I'm not using money here, in the good karma tip
Right.
jar.
Why would I leave this company?
Why would I leave this
Right.
company? Now, at some point, I might, right? I might say, look,
Sure.
I'm moving, I'm going back to school, or I'm moving to a new town, or my family relative is sick and I got to take care of them. But I'm not going to be leaving this job saying this place sucks and I'm
Right.
opening up my app to figure out where I should go next. I'm just not
Yeah,
doing that as
you were
much.
proud to be an employee. The experience was
Correct.
fantastic. Yeah, no, definitely.
Two things, two questions for me. Take them any way you'd like. First, I hate software categories, but I realize that a lot of HR and recruiting budgets are built in Excel or Google Sheets, as Ryan likes to say.
Boomer.
What do your prospects and customers consider you as? That's one question. And the second time, give us some insight into response times and how important that is to
Yeah,
frontline
yeah.
workers.
Yeah, I'll take the second one first. Response times are just critical in everything. I don't want to date myself, but as we've been talking about younger generation of workers, their their expectations on response times move at the speed of SMS, not email. What used to be okay was to say, "Listen, I'm going to review your application and get back to you, in 2 or 3 days." For most workers that are now applying, that's a lifetime. I mean, you might as well not bother following up in 3 days because somebody else will be responding to me today. So response times in everything have gone. I want to say response time. The expectation of response time has grown dramatically, such to the fact that you just can't brute force this. You can't. It used to be that maybe you could hire enough recruiters or you could have enough store managers spend enough time that they could get back to everybody within 48 hours. You cannot do this with humans. You need a system to do it. Obviously, there are others, there are other solutions that do this, but Fountain, I think, is the only one that does it from job board to departure date. So response times, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not a Fountain customer and you don't have any plans to be a Fountain customer, if I could give you any piece of unsolicited advice, would be look at response times across everything you're doing. And if you can make them 20% faster, you'll see it in the data. So that's a free piece of advice, which I say take with a grain of salt. The second part, look, the category we believe that we're in is the frontline HCM world. We are a human capital management solution for the frontline. Now, obviously, we work very closely with the large HCM players.
Right.
But we believe we are a valuable addition to that HCM suite if frontline work is important to your business. My guess is, given the breadth of your audience, there are some people who work at investment banks and law firms that are listening to us right now, and I hope they learned something and found the conversation interesting. They don't hire a lot of frontline workers. They're hiring mostly lawyers and bankers, who we need as well. They're very important people in our economy.
Do we?
But to the extent if your company is powered by those frontline workers, hey, even lawyers, we love lawyers.
Yeah, you don't up until the point where you need one, and
That's
then
right.
I tried to say that without moving my
Yeah.
lips. Probably didn't do so well.
But if frontline workers are important, having the right HCM tool sets to support those workers it will make a massive difference for your business.
Ryan, got anything?
No, Sean, I've been learned on this one.
I've been
This is good.
schooled. This is wonderful.
Always fun to be here.
This is
Thank you so much
fantastic.
for carving out time for us in the audience. This is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Absolutely huge Fountain fan, also Sean fan. So just thank you for carving out time for us, bro.
Absolutely. Let's do it again, guys. Really appreciate it. Always fun to be with you.